Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter and Vero at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Sunday's edition of the dceu Daily. Now, according to Mickey Sutton at Geekosity, Ben Affleck is definitely playing the Batman in the Batgirl movie, a film I passionately believe should be removed from an HBO Max release and put into movie theatres. So let's see what Mickey has to say. Ben Affleck will reprise his role as Batman in HBO Max's Batgirl film. In other words, his Batman days aren't over. Well, not yet. Recently, Ben Affleck generated headlines that he's finished with Batman. Actually, he never mentioned Batman, rather than other media outlets added it. Certainly, Ben Affleck quits Batman generates more ad revenue. No, this is what Ben Affleck really said. Because I don't want to do IP movies where you have this sort of built-in audience. That's something I was interested in and liked, and I just don't like anymore. I like other people who do it, and if you're going to do it, you should love it. And I love something different, so I want to do that. Therefore, goodbye Dark Knight. However, insiders aren't buying it. A source observed, that's about as believable as Andrew Garfield's denials he's not in Spider-Man No Way Home. Indeed, Ben Affleck left the Batcave before. After Joss Whedon's Justice League, Ben Affleck bolted for the exit. Ben Affleck once admitted, I showed somebody the Batman script. They said, I think the script is good. I also think you'll drink yourself to death if you go through what you just went through again. A combination of Whedon and alcohol hangovers drove Ben Affleck to the edge. A failed marriage to Jennifer Garner reportedly made it worse. However, when Zack Snyder called to finish his Justice League, guess what happened? The Dark Knight returned. Wait, there's more. Ben Affleck joined the Flash movie. Insiders claim Ben Affleck enjoyed both experiences so much, his interest was rekindled. But what's with the quote? Quite frankly, Ben Affleck sounds like a YouTuber losing subs, so he claims he'll stop broadcasting. It's a tiresome cliche. The YouTuber has a facado finale with crying emojis. Diehards rallying around professing their love. Oh please. Sources state that Ben Affleck is upset that The Last Duel tanked. After all, director Ridley Scott told millennials to get off my lawn. Actually, Scott dropped F-bombs, but we won't go there. Thus, that rumour is extinguished. In addition, neither is Ben Affleck's departure as Batman. Despite Ben Affleck's comments, insiders revealed that he hasn't cut the cord with Batman. In fact, Warner Brothers needs him. How so? Well, Robert Pattinson may be the new Batman, but on the other hand, he's Matt Reeves' personal Batman. Pattinson's Dark Knight won't cross the streams. I disagree there. I don't think that's true. And as I always say to people, let's talk about that next year. He can't share the screen with Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman or Jason Momoa's Aquaman. Well, he can because of the multiverse. He won't join the Justice League. He can because of the multiverse. Pattinson is in Reeves' pocket universe. It's actually Earth 2. And with the multiverse strategy and the walls coming down of the multiverse, after the Flash movie, he can do all of that. Michael Keaton is headed to Batman Beyond's future without a cape. He's not wearing it after the Flash. We'll have to wait and see about that. Nevertheless, Ben Affleck's cameo in Batgirl could be minus the costume. Still, Warner Brothers needs a Batman with an extended universe. Right, first of all, they told us that Ben Affleck wouldn't wear the cape and the cowl in the Flash movie. He is, so I wouldn't take too much of this to heart. Talks continue with Ben Affleck, however such decisions will be made after the Warner Discovery merger. HBO Max or theatrical, stay tuned. Keep in mind, Tom Holland now hints at dropping Spider-Man soon. You honestly believe that? Actors are the best liars, it's what they're paid to do. Ben Affleck's motives are his personal business. We can't read his mind, but we can read between the lines. So, a pretty interesting article there. Unfortunately, with Mickey Sutton and Geekosity, the site is full of pop-ups and very difficult to read. What is the future for Ben Affleck. Cameos. It's obvious. He may not want to make IP films with, ready-made audiences, but he knows that his Batman is very well adored and very well loved, as Henry Cavill knows about his Superman. I expect cameos for Batfleck and Cavill's Superman. That's where we're headed. Because anyone who's not paying attention right now with Spider-Man No Way Home, when we see other movies tank while Spider-Man No Way Home is making big bucks, knows what the future is for the DC Extended Universe. It's an interconnected DC Extended Universe, more of what we've not had before, so we're going to be getting that. So expect crossovers, expect an interconnected universe. This is where we're heading for. These are the facts, and if you don't like where the train's going, you're going to have to jump off the train, and I hope you don't get any bruises when you land. It's as simple as that. So Ben Affleck, it looks like, is in the Batgirl movie. Of course, it makes sense, doesn't it? J.K. Simmons, Commissioner Gordon, is in the movie. That's Ben Affleck's Commissioner Gordon. It makes perfect sense. Now, again, with Batgirl, we don't know when this actually is going to kind of launch on HBO Max, and with Blue Beetle going to theatres, we don't know, in fact, if Batgirl will remain on HBO Max. I want it to hit theatres. If it hit theatres, there's no way it can hit theatres in 2022. We've got a packed slate next year, but they could push it to 2023. Maybe that was the plan all along. I actually want, unlike what people think, because I don't speak to get likes and clicks and subs, that's obvious from my views and my subs, I say things how I see it. And right now we don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know if I can trust Mickey Sutton or not. Sometimes he's right, sometimes he's wrong. I do not believe him that, Batman will be without the cape and cowl in the Batgirl movie. I just don't think that makes sense. But if it's just Bruce Wayne, it's just Bruce Wayne. I'm okay with that. So I want Ben Affleck to be in the Batgirl movie. And what this does, this is brilliant, because this shows you how interconnected we're going. Ben Affleck is Zack Snyder's Batman. He was great casting. We want to see him more and more. And if Mickey is right, then that, that means that Batfleck isn't getting deleted in the Flash movie, because we don't know. And sometimes I think he is, sometimes I think he's not. I don't know. I can just give you my opinions at the time. Don't get triggered, right? So fingers crossed that Ben Affleck's Batman Bruce Wayne is the Batman in this movie. But one thing's for sure, we're not going to know that for sure for a very long time. I did not see this coming. The Batman Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne is inspired by Kurt Cobain, says Matt Reeves. Exclusive by Ben Travis of Empire. When the very first trailer for the Batman arrived in August 2020, it came with a surprising bit of soundtracking, an orchestral trailer musicified version of Something in the Way by Nirvana. Sometimes such song choices are a case of just finding the right mood or a specific connection with the lyrics. But in the case of Matt Reeves' new take on DC's Caped Crusader, there was a much more specific reason behind it. It's a tune that got right to the heart of the filmmaker's vision for the character, one that proved pivotal in shaping Robert Pattinson's take on Bruce Wayne, the rich orphan who dons the cowl and shakes down Gotham's criminal underworld. When I write, I listen to music. And I was writing the first act. I put on Nirvana's Something in the Way. Reeves tells Empire in the upcoming The Batman issue, it's a song that promises a very different take to recent big screen bats from Christian Bale to Ben Affleck, one inspired by a 90s grunge icon. That's when it came to me, that rather than make Bruce Wayne the Playboy version we've seen before, there's another version who had gone through a great tragedy and became a recluse. So I started making this connection to Gus Van Sant's Last Days and the idea of this fictionalized version of Kurt Cobain being in this kind of decaying manner. So he's using the singer the lead singer from the Nirvana rock group, Kurt Cobain, as inspiration for his Bruce Wayne Batman. This is going to be a very interesting take. In fact, we've seen lots of images of Robert Pattinson, and yeah, I can absolutely see it. The ideal actor for the job, Pattinson, whose astonishing performance in the Safdie Brothers' Good Time had caught Reeves' attention. In that movie, you could really feel his vulnerability and desperation, but you could also feel his power. The director explains, "I thought that was a great mix. He's also got that Kurt Cobain thing where he looks like a rock star, but you also feel like he could be a recluse. It's not just a different vision of Bruce Wayne, that means a different Batman too, one with fewer of the flashy gadgets afforded by Lucius Fox, who doesn't appear here. In the Nolan trilogy and a more homespun, self-constructed edge, Bruce has been hiding away," says Pattinson. "He's not really a socialite at all. He's building all these little contractions and things just with Alfred, and even Alfred thinks he's gone insane." So very interesting. There's this insanity element, and that's always been there within the graphic novels, by the way. It's different. You'll see in the Batsuit, which looks like it's been through the ringer. He's been out every single night for 2 years, getting beaten up and shot and stabbed and burned. And it shows. The actor explains, "There's a bullet graze on the cowl right at the beginning. I don't think that's been done before." Well, none of this interpretation of Batman, Robert, has been done before. So this is the subscriber issue, so that's all we get. So very interesting. So Bruce Wayne in the Batman is inspired by Kurt Cobain. I mean, now, as I say, looking at the images of Rob as Bruce Wayne, you can totally see it. I mean, listen, it's interesting. He's going down this grunge kind of 90s route. I don't know what people are going to make of it, but listen, this is not Kurt Cobain as Bruce Wayne. No, it's an inspiration. That's all. You know, Matt's taking this character down a different kind of tunnel, if you like, because if you want to see Nolan's Batman, you can watch it. If you want to see Snyder's Batman, you can watch it. There's no point doing what's already been done before. But also along the same line, don't be different for different sake, because the audience can tell. I don't actually think that's what Matt's doing. So this is the next DC Extended Universe movie. The marketing has begun. You know, Spider-Man No Way Home is out there. This is the next big thing. This is the next thing everybody is and will be talking about. And this is a film that really needs to relate to audiences. This is Batman. As I'll say this with grated teeth because Superman's my hero, but Batman is DC's #1 character, and he's probably the most popular superhero still out there. Even with the success of Marvel Studios and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'd have to say that Batman is still at the very top. So a Batman movie has to make a lot of money. Now BVS made just under $1 billion, not bad, but they wanted more from a Batman and Superman movie. Batman Begins made very little money, but it's a great movie. I think it's the best of Nolan's trilogy, by the way. And then The Dark Knight did really well. I think The Dark Knight Rises did really well financially. Critically, not so well again, but I think it's an okay film. So we're going down a new direction. And this is a first. We're in this kind of DC Extended Universe. It's getting a facelift. It's getting a rebrand from November's release of the Flash movie. But we're in a different Earth. So Matt Reeves gets to kind of craft a brand new Earth. Earth 2, it's officially been named as Earth 2 by Walter Hamada. So Matt can do anything with this universe. Not only develop his own Batman, but his own DC characters. He can do what he wants with this universe. This Earth 2 can be anything Matt wants it to be. And, you know, I think it's exciting that the inspiration for this Bruce Wayne is Kurt Cobain, because there are some parallels between Kurt Cobain and Bruce Wayne, logical comparisons if you think about it. So I think this is really good and really awesome, and I can't wait to see this movie, and I know most of you out there can't wait to see this movie. This is not a replacement for Ben Affleck because it's on a different Earth. Ben Affleck can still be Batman in Earth 1. We know he's in The Flash. We're pretty much getting a little bit more surer now that he's the Batman in Batgirl, unless something else drops. We just don't know for sure, but it's looking that way. So Affleck is there. And for the time being, he's there for good. Because every movie or project that Batfleck's in, we're going to worry he gets deleted or gets killed off. So that's where we are now. And Ben doesn't help things with some of his comments at times, but he hasn't, I mean, he has said before he's not Batman anymore, then he is Batman anymore. Look, it's all very weird. But the clarity is that we've got Ben in cameos for the foreseeable future. So if you do like Ben Affleck's Batman and Bruce Wayne, there's no reason to hate the Batman movie. Yes, this film came in as a kind of replacement for Ben Affleck's Batman movie, but that's entertainment, that's showbiz, everyone. That's the way it works. So listen, my anticipation for the Batman is up there. I believe this is going to be a great movie. I always believe a DC movie is going to be a great movie before I see it, and then when I see it, I have to either say yes, I was right, or, you know, put tea over my head or something and say, oh my God, sorry guys, that was actually a piece of shit. I don't expect this movie to be a piece of shit. What I do expect this movie to be is a unique take on Batman. But there's some lines that Matt's not going to cross here. There will be a no-kill policy. He will be the Bruce Wayne you've read in the comics, but he's going to be a Bruce Wayne like no other that we've seen in live action before. I think this is a new age, isn't it? So this is uncertain. But we know one thing, that people like Batman, and I think when I go on social media or when I go in the outside world and people recognise me and they say, Mick, we're so excited for Matt Reeves the Batman. I haven't heard anyone either in the virtual world or in the real world say to me, I'm not interested. I don't want Matt Reeves to do this. I don't want Robert Pattinson to do this. Of course, I've spoken to people who say, I wish Zack Snyder and Ben Affleck would be doing a Batman film instead, and I understand that fault. I wish we lived in a world where Rob and Matt were doing their movie and Zack and Ben were doing their movie. And who knows what the future holds. And that brings me to my next point. I've been talking about uncertain futures, and Zaslav and Discovery coming in brings an uncertain future. Here's the thing about Zaslav and Discovery. They know jack shit about running a studio that makes movies and television dramas, right? They don't know anything, right? I've just bought Discovery Plus, mainly because I'm interested in learning a bit more about the world, but also I want to see what kind of stuff they do to kind of look at how they run a certain situation. And Discovery Plus is very, very successful. And that's going to be part of HBO Max very soon next year, which is exciting. But my point is that Zaslav and Discovery don't know anything about running a studio. So Zaslav has admitted this, and he said he's learning his way around Hollywood. He's mixing with creatives. He's also been very blatant that he's trying to bring back creators who were upset by the day and date and some treatment by Warner Brothers that wasn't very good. Now, there's been an assumption that one of those creatives is Zack Snyder. This is what David can't do when he comes in because he knows nothing about the industry. So these are two kind of things that he could do. One, he comes in and he keeps everyone around because he knows nothing, so he has to keep these people in. Or, what he can do, he could bring, I don't know, he could potentially write someone like Bob Iger could come in who understands his way around the studio. Now that would be a big coup. Now I don't know how old Bob is now, but something like that would be huge, because like what Bob Iger did to Star Wars or everything else that he's done with Disney, Bob brought huge IPs to Disney. Bob is a genius. I don't like the way he treated George Lucas either. We read his autobiography. It wasn't good. But ultimately, Bob did a lot of things. So if I was David Zaslav, I would be looking to bring someone like Iger or someone along those lines to kind of be, not maybe, because David's going to be the CEO of Warner Discovery. So that's set in stone. So he either sticks with these people at Warner Brothers Pictures and HBO Max and Warner Media, even though it's not going to be called Warner Media once Discovery coming, it's going to be Warner Discovery. So basically he's got two choices. He brings someone in, someone that's so good, who's worked in the industry before and makes the right decisions. Or he keeps these people for the next 6 months to a year at Warner Brothers Pictures. What do I think he's going to do? I think you will probably see the exit of Toby Emmerich. I think Toby Emmerich being rumoured to be looking for work at Netflix about 6 months ago tells you something. He knows his days are numbered. We know Jason Kilar is going because Jason Kilar's job will be David Zaslav. David Zaslav's coming in, so he's going to be the CEO of this company. So there's no job for Jason Kilar unless David gives him something, a token gesture. So then we have to kind of work out, well, because this is important for the future of DC. What does David do? Boot out the people at Warner Brothers Pictures, or does he stick with them until he brings someone else in? Listen, I don't know what the man's got planned. It's going to be very interesting to me because here's the thing. I think you can't come into a company and throw some people out immediately. You need to feel your feet, especially if you're someone like Zaslav and Discovery who have no clue. But as I say, they can bring someone in who can run Warner Brothers Pictures the way he wants it run. So what has he said about DC, David Zaslav? He simply said that he wants to see that Wonder Woman, Superman and Batman front and centre. So right now, Superman isn't front and centre, but Warner Brothers have plans to put him front and centre. Tanahashi Coast J.J. Abrams' Superman movie, the Val Zod movie, produced by Michael B. Jordan, and of course we've got Superman and Lois. So he would be there front and centre. Now, is that good enough for Zaslav? And what does he think about Henry Cavill? These are things that we simply just can't predict at the moment. What Zaslav and Discovery does actually is kind of dangerous for people who want to restore the Snyderverse and want Cavill and Affleck back. He gives us hope, and it could be false hope. But hope, hope is better than no hope, right? So I'm going to stick to being hopeful about the future. But in the short term, there's 6 DC projects coming out, and the majority of them are under increasing pressure. So what kind of money do I think these 4 theatrical release movies for the DC Extended Universe have to do next year? Well, the Batman has to clear $1 billion. Because it's looking like Spider-Man No Way Home within the worst variant of COVID so far, the Omicron variant, it looks like it's going to make about 220 million this opening weekend. That looks like we're heading to nearly a 2 billion global run when everything's said and done, which would be amazing. It just shows you that as long as the movie theatres remain open, the business can be done. So there are no excuses. People were blaming COVID, right, for the Suicide Squad. But to be fair to the Suicide Squad, in terms of the box office in America, it was available on HBO Max. But we've seen other films available on streaming and movie theatre releases at the same time do better than the Suicide Squad. But the Suicide Squad was a solid movie, and no one's going to convince me of anything else. So the Batman has to reach $1 billion. No excuses. Then you have Black Adam. Now, Black Adam doesn't have to reach $1 billion, but I think the kind of business that they'll be looking for is about 650 to 750 million for Black Adam. I think that's perfectly a reasonable box office haul. Then we go to the Flash movie. The Flash movie has to really, listen, at the end of the day, I know it's unfair, but I think it really needs to be looking at Spider-Man No Way Home money. Now, that's virtually impossible. So let's be a little bit more kinder and say it just needs to do what I think the Batman should do, which is $1 billion. But the Flash movie is the movie that reboots the DCEU, that changes everything forever. So you would expect at least there to be some intrigue and interest. That's good. the first Flash movie ever made. Grant Gustin's The Flash is going to be in it, which of course isn't as huge as Tobey Maguire and Andy Garfield being in Spider-Man No Way Home, but it's exciting. But the biggest pull, which is as huge or maybe huger than Tobey Maguire and Andy Garfield being in No Way Home, is Michael Keaton's Batman. He was the first movie Batman. It was the movie that broke the mold, Batman 89. This is huge. It doesn't matter that he's nearly 70. People are excited for that. So that's why I think, even without seeing much of the movie or knowing what it's about, people are going to come to see Michael Keaton. Now, you could think that the marketing department at Warner Brothers dropped the ball in not doing what Sony and Marvel Studios did, which was leaking the fact that Tobey and Andy were going to be involved, but denying it publicly. But at the end of the day, it was clever marketing, and no one's really thought of doing that before, so well done to them. But you know what? Knowing Michael Keaton's in the movie is exciting. It's awesome, and that is going to bring people to the movie. But of course, reviews and anticipation are very important. I think we've got anticipation for The Flash. I mean, it's number 10 in the top 10, IMDb's top 10 most anticipated films of 2022. So it is an anticipated movie, but of course the MCU movies are more anticipated. Now, of course, you've got Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. The first Aquaman made over $1 billion, an absolute shocker. The Mary Poppins sequel released at the same time. What was it John Campea said? That he was going to get, Aquaman was going to get his bum spanked by Mary Poppins. And it never happened, did it, John? Oh my God, John. Your bias towards Disney really exposed you. But what was amazing about Aquaman, it was the next film after Justice League. That film should have flopped, but it didn't flop because people loved Jason Momoa and James Wan. The trailers looked exceptional. That was down to James saying, no, excuse me. That was down to James saying, no trailers until we've actually, perfected the CGI, which was groundbreaking. So can I see this movie making $1 billion again? Well, the film is going to be great because James Wan's doing it. It's a personal movie for Jason Momoa and James and the other people involved in this movie. The only cloud in the lining of this movie is how many people boycott it because of Amber Heard. This is what I'm going to say to you. Amber Heard has shot her scenes, but she's not a shoo-in to remain in this movie. There is enough time to cut her out the movie and bring in someone like my good friend Emilia Clarke. She is perfect because her and Jason were in Game of Thrones. People would eat that up. So that's something I want badly. But at this moment in time, that's the cloud in the way. But I kind of believe that that's not the issue around this. I don't think enough people are going to boycott Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. People are excited. But I think that probably Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is the least anticipated DC Extended Universe movie of next year. It's just the way it is. But as we get closer and we get to see footage of it, people are going to get excited. Mark my words, from what I've heard about this movie, and I've heard a lot about it, you are going to love it. And also in this film, there is a huge, gigantic cameo. I'm not going to say anything else about it, but I've heard about it. It's very exciting. So these 4 movies, there's no reason for these 4 movies to fail unless they're so bad, and I can't imagine it. When I think of who wrote and directed The Batman, how can I see that failing? But again, Matt Reeves is the kind of director that has done his own thing, and that Matt Reeves is a little bit like Snyder. They have this vision, and that vision may not be something that people kind of like, because that's what happened with Zack Snyder. So we have to wait and see. But you would imagine it's going to be a great movie and it's going to be successful. Black Adam, I mean, the response to that has been great action thus far. But from what I've heard about the movie, I don't see how there's any problem here. But of course, again, this is a movie that you can't definitely say is going to be a success because the director has done a few films, but he's The Rock's director. I mean, they've made some huge claims. It looks great. What we saw of it on this year's DC Fandom, it looks great. So again, that's a solid entry. I can't see that failing. And this is me without bias. And now the Flash movie is the one. It's uncertain because I don't know what Andy Muschietti's capable of. I've seen his other stuff, but he hasn't done a lot of stuff. So it's difficult, but I like his style and I like what he said and how he's approached this movie. And it's written by Christina Hodson. The Flash is simply an unknown quantity, and we're going to have to wait and see. So that's the unknown quantity. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and the rest of them, I think, are shoo-ins to be successful. Because the Flash movie is going to challenge people. It's going to, it's going to reboot the universe. So and it has to succeed. This is the thing. It doesn't matter how successful the other movies are, but think about this. If the Batman's the only successful DC movie, it's a win-win for Warner Brothers Pictures because that's on another Earth, Earth 2. So if Earth 1 fails, they can just focus on Matt Reeves' universe and get him to develop all the other DC characters. So there's a brand new franchise there, whatever happens. So it's not totally a bum out, but of course they don't want that to happen. They want everything to succeed. As I say, it's a huge year. It's an unknown quantity, especially with Discovery coming in. Who knows what the future holds, but I will say I'm really excited. This has been the DCEU Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll see you again tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. Until then, au revoir, goodbye, and auf Wiedersehen.